Good afternoon. You're watching Businessworld live here on One News. I'm Jess Delos Santos. Let's take a look at how the local bourse closed today, Tuesday. Okay, even as inflation rose to its quickest pace in 3 years, at least for the month of August, at 4.9%, the index still managed to eke out gains today. The PSEi capped off the session higher by 0.5%, rising to the 6,900 level at 6,912 to be exact. Higher food prices again pushed consumer prices, this as millions continue to be jobless despite unemployment rate falling to 6.9%. We'll give you more details on both stories later, but still, what investors would be keeping an eye on is how exactly the smaller and more targeted lockdowns here in Metro Manila are going to be implemented. The IATF is set to meet on that later with guidelines expected to be released, if not later than tomorrow. Grander lockdowns are expected to bring back jobs and help businesses resume operations. Let's see how more clarity that will shape movement in the equity space in the next sessions. But for now, foreign investors continue to stock up on local shares for the third day with purchases at 108.8 million pesos. Now, among individual stocks, Globe and LT Group sharing top honors for the day, both rising 3.3% for the LT Group. We do know that their airline unit, Philippine Airlines, is hoping to exit bankruptcy by year-end. LT Group today at 9 pesos and 32 centavos a piece for Globe. The telco has confirmed that it will be pivoting its primary business into a digital solutions group, Globe Now, at 2,790 a piece. Now, speaking of telcos, we have to keep an eye on two other players in the telco and broadband space. First is Converge, also a gainer today after it said that it's bound to join the FTSE, or the Financial Times Stock Exchange, making it the lone Philippine firm to join its small cap index that begins September 17. CEO Dennis Anthony Uy says they expect this to lead to more exposure to passive and active investors, resulting in a more diversified portfolio. Converge today rose 1.6% to 32 pesos a piece. This year's best performers so far, jumping by 114.7% year to date. Now off we go to PLDT. This bit of news came in after close. The telco giant, according to Bloomberg sources, is working with JP Morgan on the possible sale of its data centers. That agreement could be worth as much as $500 million. Now, back in July, Bloomberg also reported that PLDT is mulling disposing its towers in an $800 million sale and leaseback agreement. Deliberations for the data center sale are still ongoing, according to the sources, but this news comes at a time when demand for digital infrastructure is seeing an unprecedented increase as the COVID-19 pandemic rages on. Now, PLDT for today joins the rally in the local bourse, increasing 0.7% to 1,472. Let's see how this development will affect stock price tomorrow once trading resumes. Here are other headlines we're keeping our eyes on. Government officials are still in the process of finalizing guidelines for the implementation of pilot granular lockdowns in Metro Manila. Presidential spokesperson Harry Roque says the guidelines may be released today, with authorities still waiting for additional inputs from LGUs. Otherwise, the planned granular lockdown will take effect a day after tomorrow. Meanwhile, the government announced that more than 35 million COVID-19 vaccine doses have been administered as of today. This covers over 20 million who have received their first dose and some 15 million who are already fully vaccinated. Now, unemployment eased in July after the government relaxed restrictions prior to the latest surge in COVID-19 cases. The latest data from the Philippine Statistics Authority showed some 3 million Filipinos were unemployed in July. This translates to a 6.9% unemployment rate, a gradual decrease from the 7.7% jobless rate in June, and the unemployment surge of over 17% recorded in April 2020. Now, during the height of the lockdowns, however, The quality of jobs created dipped as more Filipinos report being on the lookout for additional work to boost their income. This translates to higher underemployment of 20.9% for July this year. Labor force participation also declined in July as more Filipinos stopped looking for work during the pandemic, effectively shrinking the labor market. Now, no surprise for BSP Governor Ben Diokno when it came to August inflation data. Diokno says the August print of 4.9% is consistent with their forecast falling on the high end of their target range. He says inflation rate is expected to decelerate back within target range by year end. Diokno noted that uptick in global commodity prices served as upside pressure to inflation, while emerging COVID variants and delayed economic reopening pose downside risks. August inflation accelerated on the back of higher prices of food items, specifically meat, fish, and vegetables. The three food items, in fact, posted double-digit annual growth rates. With food inflation still on the uptrend, does this mean interventions to ease food prices, especially on meat, is not yielding its expected benefits? Let's find out from Agriculture Assistant Secretary Noel Reyes. Good afternoon, Asik Reyes.
Good afternoon, Jess, and good afternoon to our listeners, to our viewers today. Magandang hapon po sa ating lahat.
Okay, Asik, so food inflation is still high. I mean, that's at 6.9% from just 5.1% the month prior. What do you think drove this primarily?
Yes, as pointed out by the PSA, the inflation was contributed by the high inflation for meat and for fish, no, and that's why. But these numbers for fish are down from a high of 49% in June, 38 in July, and down to 16. So efforts are. We're realizing the efforts done thanks to our policies issued by President Duterte to bring in more imported pork. So we're now seeing more imported pork in groceries at 230 per kilo for liempo and 200 for Casim and Piguet, while farm or fresh pork are still above 320 to 340. So for fish, prices are 150 for bangus milkfish and tilapia 130, and for local galunggong it's 240, and alumar or mackerel for 240. So that is why Secretary William Dar has authorized the imports of 60,000 metric tons to come in in a few days, no, after issuing the CNI, permit to import those galunggong, mackerel, and bonito at wholesale prices of at least 88 pesos based on last year's prices. So again, yes, those are the initiatives to bring down, of course, to increase the supply of fish and meat here in the country, and then thereafter subsequently bring down prices.
Okay, we're going to discuss more on those initiatives, particularly on fish later. But for now, let's focus on meat inflation. Again, you did mention the move again to bring in more imports, specifically pork import, to stabilize prices. But then again, looking at the figures for the month of August, that rose to 16.4% in August from just 16% in July. Why do prices remain elevated despite the influx of pork imports?
Again, we're seeing a tightness in supply because of the turnaround of meaning ships coming from ASF countries, from importers. So again, we have to move this, and of course the lockdowns have contributed to this the movement. But we're seeing a downtrend in the coming weeks and months towards onto the holiday season, December.
Okay, let me just clarify that, Asik. We're still importing pork from ASF countries. Am I correct?
ASF free countries.
Okay,
ASF.
Okay. So again, you did say that you are expecting prices to stabilize at least in the near future. Do we have a timeline for that?
Yes, by say next month, as imports, bulk of the imports will come in. But again, we are seeing now a lot of imported pork in grocery chains, no?
Mhm.
Robinsons, SM, and all.
Now, how much of the holiday season coming in will also at least help normalize prices for pork specifically?
Come again, Jess.
How at least are you expecting the upcoming holiday season to help stabilize prices for meat products as well?
Yeah, we're seeing we have maintained those 2 to 230 pesos for pork for fresh. We'd like to see them below 300, 310, 320, and
Mhm.
280 range.
Mhm. Now, regarding fish, you did mention earlier that there's now a move to import at least 60,000 metric tons of galunggong and taniga, if I'm not mistaken. How's that coming
It,
along? And you have a number of groups also blasting the move, saying it really won't be bringing down prices. What do you have to say about that?
no, this came from a survey, and in fact, BIFAR has even given a higher number of 65,000. So the secretary has settled based on the recommendations of the industry and BIFAR to do it at 60,000 metric tons. It includes galunggong, mackerel, and bonito, the small tuna species, small pelagic fishes. For this, because of the close fishing season, we have to increase the supply starting this month, September.
And how do you expect this to at least somehow stabilize prices for fish in the coming months?
We're looking at bringing down prices to below 200. It's now hovering at 240 for local galunggong and Indian mackerel alumahan for 240. We'd like to see at least 120, 150 to 180 below that because they'll be bringing in the imported fish at 88 wholesale prices, at least
Mhm.
88 or 90 pesos.
Okay, now also, ASIC Reyes, in the labor force survey released earlier, 1.8 million of the month-on-month job loss is from the agricultural sector. What do you think caused that?
It's seasonal, Jess, because planting season is over. So, and also the community lockdowns has contributed to the non-hiring of agricultural workers. So, again, we have to see easing up of the lockdown, so farmers can again work and again do some farm and fishery activities,
hmm
and thus more labor will be farm labor will be hired. Hopefully,
Okay, are there at least any plans to somehow recover the jobs? Is something that you are at least going to put on the table for the next coming months?
yes, we'd like to see more on the vegetable production, on chicken production, layer production, as we're pushing them, and also of course for the harvest season. Starting end of September or October, that will be harvest season. So again, much farm labor will be hired. Will be hired.
All right. Thank you very much again for your insights and your time this afternoon. Agriculture Assistant Secretary Noel Reyes. Thank you, ASIC Reyes.
Thank you, Jess, for your time. Thank you for this opportunity. On behalf of Secretary William Dar, Department of Agriculture, good afternoon.
And those are the biggest stories of this trading day, September 7, 2021. Catch Business World Live again tomorrow at 9:30 a.m. for the market open and 3:15 p.m. for the market close. I'm Jess de Los Santos, and we are One News. Mask on, wash hands, and stay safe, Philippines.